What is up, guys? Wolfgang here. So today I want to talk about Apple, iPhones, Samsung, so on and so forth. Now, I've been using a Android phone, or several different Android phones, for about 11 years now. Mostly Samsung, to be honest. A couple of LGs in there. That's most of what I remember, actually. But yeah, I have some thoughts I want to share about iPhone, because I am considering buying one. I don't really have any products to show in my hands as well, so there might be some images popping in and out. My Samsung phone is recording, so I don't really have a Samsung device to show you guys. But anyways, now real quick, neither Samsung nor Apple are sponsoring this video. All of these thoughts are my thoughts and my thoughts alone, and well, everything that I mention will be bought with my own money if I do buy them, and let's get into it. Here's the facts. I am interested in buying an iPhone. I've never really been a fan of iPhone because of their lack of customization, as well as they have their, their weird attitude of being the only ones in the market. And hey, for the marketing side, I guess it works. But yeah, it's not exactly my favorite behavior, let's say. I would rather them, acknowledge that they do have competition, and it depends a lot more on preference than their products themselves. Mentioning some pros, the screens that iPhones use are already Samsung OLED screens. I am a huge fan of OLED. I love the colors it provides. I love the brightness. I love everything about OLED. So yeah, the fact that they have OLED already is a huge plus for me, and it makes me at least consider one. Now, another big thing about iPhones is that they've been known recently, at least, to have really good battery life. Well, guess what? More battery life is coming soon, at least with these iPhones, from the rumors I've heard. So they're going to make the battery larger, as well as there's going to be more power efficiency from the processor itself. So that means overall there's going to be more battery, which is crazy because Android phones were just catching up to it. Battery tests I've seen, and now they're just getting more. So that's great. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is supposed to have a pretty great battery. So they're catching up to numbers on Samsung phones, like I believe I saw it was going to be 4,800 milliamp hours. So that's just great. I mean, it's an awesome percentage, and that might mean a 2-day battery life on a phone, which I've never really experienced. My Samsung phone can do it, but I have battery anxiety, so until I can see that the day ends with like 70%, I won't be confident it can last 2 days. There are a lot of other benefits, for example, in the software. In the most recent, I believe it was WWDC, that they unveiled, the standby thing, which is a always-on display with a little bit more interaction, more customizability. You see, I always use the always-on display on my phone, but it only really shows the time and notifications. What Apple announced is a lot more like the daily board on a Samsung tablet, which I don't use that often because it's a 15-inch screen on my table, and I already have a pretty small table currently, so it's not really efficient. It consumes a lot of space, and I'd rather not have it there, but I do appreciate the feature. I do like having a calendar or a larger clock right by me. And the phones themselves, at least from what I've seen, don't really have a feature like that. Plus, MagSafe allows it to be attached in a very different position and occupy even less space on the table. So I'm kind of excited to see how standby works and develops as well. Another feature I'm interested in is the contact sharing. Now, how often do I share my contact info? Honestly, like once a year maybe. But I think it's a really cool feature. A lot of people have made fun of it because Apple once said that you don't have to go tapping phones everywhere to share a file, and then they do this, which it's funny, I know, but it's still a good feature. So yeah, I'm interested in giving it a shot. Now, next up, I'm interested in some hardware upgrades they're making. They're finally adding Type-C. This was a main requirement for me to even consider an iPhone, is that they have Type-C. Now, one thing that's probably going to be very annoying, I'm sure Apple's going to limit the speeds depending on the cable vendor. So it means you'd have to buy a specific Apple cable to have the max speeds of those ports on the iPhone, which I am very annoyed by, but at least it's Type-C. I'll probably do some video tests to see if I like the video quality that iPhone gives, which from what I've heard is really good. So depending on that, it may become my recording phone. It might not. We'll see. I want to give it a try now. It has Type-C. There is also a titanium metal frame around the phone now, or at least the Pro Max and the Pro, which does it add much of an experience for me? Not really, but I think it's cool and I want one. Now they're also going to be continuing MagSafe, which I think is pretty cool, like I said, for the standby feature. I really am interested in trying out a couple of accessories that come with MagSafe, so maybe like a wallet, I'm interested in a stand to use the standby feature right by my desk. Well, those are the two main ones, to be honest, but I really want to try them out. I think it's a really cool invention, and I know there are adapters for Android phones to be able to use MagSafe, but, well, it's kind of jank, so no thanks, I'm good. Now, another thing I really enjoy about Apple, this doesn't go so much for just the iPhone, it's more for the iPad actually, is the amazing third-party cases they release. I've recently been looking for a case for my tablet and my Android Samsung tablet, and there's really like 2 or 3 options that actually look nice. The rest are just bulky or don't cover everything, so it's kind of annoying. And then when you look at the iPhones, or sorry, the iPads more generally, there's so many companies making amazing cases. Like last week I saw one from Moft. I'll be showing it on the screen right now, which I think is an amazing invention. It's the normal trifold, but now you can, aside from doing the normal 2 angles from a trifold cover, you can also make it stand. So of course it's not exactly ideal. It's not at eye level per se, but it's definitely an improvement of having it against the desk. So I really want one. I'm not buying an iPad until they add OLED. So that's at least a good thing. I'm not going to be spending that much money. But once there is OLED on an iPad, I definitely will be buying one with this case because I want it. And then the last benefit that I'd get by buying an iPhone is that I get to judge them from the inside. Now, like I said, I've never been a fan from iPhone. I think this would be a great experience to either reinforce my hatred or annoyances, or to actually convert me into a iPhone lover, maybe. I hope not. Or it can get me to a point of balance where I like both systems, and I'm pretty sure each one has their advantages, their operating systems. I definitely need to have one in my hands and use it at least on a somewhat daily basis to get an educated opinion on an iPhone. Now, of course, there are some cons to buying an iPhone. So, for example, the price. Since I'm still planning to buy the Fold 5 from Samsung, and the iPhone is also releasing around that date, that's a pretty big spend in a single month. So yeah, that's pretty tough. The iPhone itself, I think, is priced fine. Like it's the same price as the Samsung phone, or at least the ones I'd buy. Yeah, it's the price itself is fine. The price plus other things I want to buy is not fine. The next thing is that I'm not in the ecosystem, so I won't be able to enjoy everything that Apple has to provide. So if I had, for example, a MacBook and a iPad as well as the iPhone, I'd definitely be able to enjoy it more because I can, all the, ecosystem stuff. I know they have some really cool stuff. I haven't really played around with it. I have never really investigated it because, well, I don't have any of them, so it's kind of unnecessary. I probably will start researching it soon because now I'm interested. But yeah, I don't really have any other Apple products. I don't have an Apple Watch, which is something I might consider as well. And lastly, while I'm not a fan of the dynamic island, I think it's a cool software feature they made to kind of hide this hole punch, this really long hole punch. But yeah, I don't think it's the most great idea. I definitely 100% prefer the small hole punches that Samsung have been using and other brands as well. Probably most other Android brands. Of course, iPhone has, Face ID, which does require a bit more sensors and stuff, blah, blah, blah. I still think the dynamic island isn't exactly the best solution. It is what it is. I'll give it a try. So in the end, I'm still buying the Fold 5. The Fold 5 is a 100% certain thing I will buy. I may end up also buying a iPhone 15 Pro Max. And I'll definitely make a review of it. The first impressions, the 1 month, the 3 and 6 month reviews. And I'll definitely share my thoughts with you guys. Now, how long will I keep it? That depends on if I like the video to make it my recording device, if I like anything else on the device. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, bell icon. Well, I guess the bell icon comes after the subscribe button. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a great day.